Hey everyone, Spencer Kaufman here with How To Video Channel. Today I'm going to show you how to render beeswax and turn it from this raw beeswax to some nice, clean, and filtered beeswax. So typically when you get it, it looks like this. This was hardened in a pail and then broken up into several pieces for easier melting. But what we're going to do is take this and put it into a pot of hot water on the stove and boil it down or melt it down, not quite boiling, but about 150 degrees, melt it down into some nice usable beeswax. So we're going to get some cheesecloth. Now, I recommend about 90 grade. You can see we have some here. This is very, very fine cheesecloth. And we're going to take the beeswax that's unfiltered and put it into the center of this cheesecloth. So here we go. We're going to dump it in here and then take this, and this will be the way that we filter this, by putting this into a pot of water and then melting it down in the water, and the pure wax will seep out and the other wax will stay in. All right, here we have the wax in the center of the cheesecloth. You want to have this cheesecloth be about a rectangle. A square might be a little too small, so make sure you have the wax in the middle. And then what we're going to do is tie this into a sack, corner to corner, each corner opposite of the other, and tie it about 4 or 5 times. So we're going to start doing that right now. And what you want to do is take the opposite corners, tie a little knot here. Make sure it's good and secure so that it doesn't come undone when you have this in the water. So we'll just crisscross them, do every other, tie nice knots, about 4 or 5 knots, so that you are satisfied that this is not going to open up when you have it in the pot of hot water on the stove. So next we'll show you that. All right, here we have the wax in a pot of water. This is on the stove. It is about 120 degrees that wax starts to melt, or at least the beeswax. Generally, you don't want to go over boiling, so keep it somewhere between about 120 and 160. That is up to you. Do your research and make sure you know what you've got, what kind of beeswax you have, and how hot you want that pot to be. Also, the pot you use after it's done, you're not going to be able to use this for any cooking, so make sure you use a junk pot, one that you'll either throw away or use for crafts or candles or something else like that. But basically, you just let this melt in the pot of water, and you can see the wax has started to seep through the cheesecloth. As time goes on, this will maybe take half hour or so, depending on how much wax you have in the bag. This amount might be about 45 minutes. But what's going to happen is the wax is slowly going to melt, and you can see how it looks like a honey-colored liquid that is draining from the bag. So as this melts, it's going to seep out. All the impurities, like the bees' wings and things like that, that's going to stay in this cheesecloth. And when it gets to be where you think that most of the good wax has melted out of there, then you're going to take a couple of spoons, again, junk, or what I like to use are a couple of pieces of wood, like a sheetrock shim or something, and then get a partner and have someone hold this up while you squeeze out all the good wax. And during that process, the good wax will continue to come out and be a honey-colored liquid, and as soon as you start to see it looking black or dark, then stop, because now you're starting to squeeze the impurities out of the cheesecloth. So make sure you stop at that point, and we will show you what that looks like coming up next. All right, so most of the wax has melted out of this. You can see it, there isn't much in there. So now what you're going to do is hold the top and lift this out, and you can see that there's still a bunch of contents inside. It's mostly dark. The honey-colored liquid is coming out, so that's water and wax. And what you want to do now is get a couple of spoons or sheetrock shims or something and squeeze the bag so that more wax comes out. And you go from the top down, and keep an eye on the liquid below, because right now it's a nice kind of a clear honey color. As soon as it starts getting black or dark, then you want to stop, because now you're starting to push the impurities out of the bag. So have one person watch the bottom and hold the bag while the other person just slowly pushes out the wax. And you'll do this until you're satisfied all this wax comes out. You can see there some of the black impurities started to come out. So at this point, you're just going to take it easy and let the rest of this kind of seep out on its own with lightly pushing, or to be safe, you could discard the bag. Now we will allow this wax to cool down and solidify, and then when it is ready, we will be able to punch it out of the pot itself. So we'll show you that coming up next. All right, here we have the pot. It is cooled off and the wax has hardened and solidified on the top of the pot. So the next step is to break this loose and get it out of here. You can see it's very firm here. It's very hard. We'll push it down to try to break it loose, and the water is coming up over the pot. And so unfortunately, it's really stuck in here. We might need to get a tool, but I think the best thing to do is going to be to drain this water, and then we will break it loose. So that's what we're going to do, is drain the water and then show you how to get the wax out coming up next. All right, we've dumped out all the water, and now all we have is the wax in the pot. So we're going to break this loose and get it out of this pot. And you can see here there's a little ridge. What we're going to do is get a knife or a little tool or something to pry this out of here, and that will make it a lot easier to lift this wax out and get this disc out of this pot. So you can see it's very thick. Typically, maybe it would have been a little easier to do a thinner sheet of wax, but you can see there's still a little bit of impurity on the bottom, but otherwise it is very, very clean, good beeswax to use for candles or whatever other projects you might have. So I really hope this video has helped you out. If so, hit that like button. I also look forward to your comments below. In addition, hit the subscribe button and the bell icon on this channel to stay tuned to future videos. And we can always use your support if you're interested in contributing financially to the support of this channel. Thank you.